G'day and welcome. Today we're going to be covering Perfect Cell because he is simply perfection. And so we're going to just do as per usual, we're going to do the general overview with the character stats, DP cost, health bars, defense, damage, starting key, that kind of thing. Then move on to skills, blast attacks, unique properties, key blasts, combos and dash attacks, that kind of thing, strengths and weaknesses, then finishing up with other similar characters and final thoughts. So we'll just get stuck straight in. So this character costs 7 DP and has no prior transformations, making him pretty unique amongst the cells who normally have to transform up one form at a time. He has 4 health bars, average defense in line with many other Saiyans, has above average damage similar to Super Trunks and Majin Buu, so he hits pretty hard, which is great. Starts with 3 key bars, which is great, no starting skill points, and he has a maximum of 6 skill points when fully maxed out, and takes 4 seconds to fully charge his ki. He also has access to 3 follow-ups, and 6 in sparking mode, which is pretty good. It's about average for characters of this cost. And he gets a heavy follow-up after a granite throw, pokes him in the head like that, it's pretty brutal, and he has a key blast cannon as his perception, which is not bad. It's a decent option since you can follow up with this cheap last one, which is kill. But we're going to move along. Firstly, we're going to cover Perfect Cell's skills. So he's got an interesting set. So it's sort of situational and defensive. So he starts off with his instant transmission. So this costs 2 skill points. Instantly moves behind your opponent after a small delay. That's really good for stopping instant sparking or an opponent who's just spamming key blasts, or maybe trying to buff over long range or just charge the key. So that's pretty good for that. Also has Wild Sense as Rano's Poppet, costs 2, and basically until you get hit by a physical attack at close range, it will just stay there. So it basically gets countered by just doing a light attack and then vanishing behind, like so. So situationally useful. I know a lot of players are kind of sick of this skill because just it's so very common, especially online with characters like Gohan, the Gohans and such. But overall, it's pretty decent, especially if your opponent is not as used to playing around it, or just you want them to have an extra thing to think about. Since, as you can see, there's nothing shown on the screen which shows when it's active. So you just have to keep an eye on their skill points. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. Next, we have his blast attack. So he's got a pretty good set. So he's got a cheap.
You won't survive this time.
Cheap piercing beam attack. So that means it can't be reflected from far as I know, and has a little bit of startup and deals 8k damage. Since it's so cheap, it's not too bad just to check your opponent, see whether they're able to vanish in time, that kind of thing, and just as a bit of a follow-up after doing like a smash attack, that kind of thing. So pretty good overall. It's never a bad thing to have. And next we have his rush attack.
You won't
so this
be able to outrun me.
Fast, but cannot be guided, in other words you can't move around as it's active, and doesn't have any fault, but deals about 10.9k damage if it smashes into the ground. Again, pretty solid. The damage it does is quite nice, and it's always nice to have a bit of flexibility in your blast moveset. So, but why? He's perfect, right? So he must have some pretty interesting things to make him even more perfect, right? You are correct. So, 2 things. So first of all, he is the only character in this game, other than the Cold Clan characters, so King Cold, Frieza, Frost, Cooler, that kind of thing, who gets access to this. So what I refer to as the Death Beam. So it's like a really fast key blast which travels really quick, just excellent at keeping out your opponent, stopping them from transforming up, that kind of thing, and just good for just like general like poking all that. So yeah, it's really good. And also he in sparking mode, I'll just pop it quickly. Because in sparking he can do the rapid vanish. So by tapping your guard button, it uses a little bit of ki, but you can use it to vanish behind your opponent. So you can say do a couple of range, do that. Say for perception, you behind them, full combo. So pretty strong option. It never hurts to have, especially on a speedy character like this. Never underestimate his speed, folks. But having said that, his key blasts are pretty standard, and that's how he gets all the usual stuff. Barrage, a short range one, which is not that great. Generally speaking, you want to just be doing those in the air, that kind of thing. And yeah, not bad. Nothing super crazy outside of it's just a regular key blast, but it's always nice to have. And moving along, we're just going to cover his basic follow-ups, combos, and all that sort of stuff. So first we have his flying kicks as the first follow-up, so it hits overhead and allows a combo from the front. After they went blocking, we have heavy finishes, which gives a short stagger, allow you to dash behind and beat them up. Then you have key blast cannon, which can be charged. Run a blockable attack. It has also its own follow-ups. You can check yourself in the training settings. Oh, sorry, explanation of controls, and then just go to one of the later menus to see all the follow-ups and such. And last but not least, the rolling hammer, which turns your opponent around, which again isn't super crazy, but it allows for some reset opportunities, especially from behind, since you can knock them. Basically, you can turn them around and then make it so that they're facing behind again. So it's never a bad option to have. It's got a very solid moveset, which never hurts, especially on a more expensive character. You want something to have a pretty complete set of skills. And his heavy finishes on his dash heavy, which is excellent. So that means at close range, instead of doing key blasts or might be pressing buttons, you can do that and just punish them for that and jump behind. So it's really good. It's my favourite option for a dash heavy, and whenever they have it, I'm thanking the good Lord that that's an option for them. But speaking of moveset, this is just going to show up a quick standard combo, which works from behind. Yeah, 14.2k is not too bad. So that's basically him and his bark transforming in this nutshell, and he's got quite a lot of things going for him. So you have the high starting key, so starts with 3 key bars, which again is above average and makes him an excellent point character, whether you're using him in like a single character battle or DP. It's definitely a strong option for all that. He's got a decent set of skills. Yeah, his blast attacks are great, reliable. It's what you want. Good number of follow-up attacks, just to boost his damage a bit further. But I'd say that, it's his standard stuff in terms of his weaknesses. So, lack of transformations and also not being able to just transform into his form naturally is a pretty big downside. I think it would have been cool if you could have, say, Form Perfect Cell, then transform up into this one would be cool. Or some people have suggested take like a second form, to exploit, then transform into this form would have been cool, since that is what happened in the anime. But yeah, other than that, like, he's just an incredible character, and I just kind of wish that his skills were a little bit better. But it is what it is. It suits the kind of character that Cell is. If you play perfectly, how can you ever lose? Also, speaking of perfect, if you want to play another character who's cheaper to gain access to, his Form Perfect form. So you have, you go into either first form Cell, or this is second form, then you just transform up. It's pretty cheap. I think it only costs, only costs 2 SP to go up, 2 skill points, and well, he doesn't have this crazy key blast. He's got a lot of other advantages, and just being cheaper as well. It's always, I think, a big upside, and again, you can transform up at your will. Whether you want to stay in second form and drain health and then go into perfect just to get your, because you get a full key bar after transforming, which is one of the strengths of the other form of Cell, which no doubt I'll probably be covering at some point soon, because he's one of my faves. But anyway, before I get completely lost amongst all the talk about perfection, I just want to wrap up here. So he is a little bit expensive for the stats and all that, but he doesn't have the extra utility of the lifesteal like his other form of Cell. But his raw stats are just really good, excellent starting key, like I said before, great key blast, good moveset. Pretty much, like, the only flaw in like his basic moveset is the fact that his skills are a bit too situational.
You won't survive this time.
There is a little bit of startup on his cheap piercing blast, and I'd say other than this character being one of my faves for the non-transforming, more expensive characters, but the other one being Ultimate Gohan, just because, you know, I've always been a fan of his playstyle even in the older games, and yeah, him not having a instant spiking or an unblockable is not a huge deal. It would have been nice to have something like that, since, you know, he did have access to some of that in his other form, but that's alright. But other than that, I'd say whether you're running single or DP battles, I'd say he's a pretty good pick, provided, you know, you want someone who's well-rounded and, you know, pretty much as close to perfect as you can get for a character, and isn't like a big ugly, crazy strong but slow dude like his other form, most recently added in the DLC. So anyway, just going to leave it there. I hope everyone learned something about this and people can start to enjoy this excellent character some more. Have a great day wherever you are, be blessed, and I hope to be releasing some more guides soon, so keep an eye on this space. Bye.